Hey, this is Jason Major, and this is another episode of Sweaty Heroes and Comic Bargains. Today, in our new focus, we're going to just focus on comics' greatest world. So we're just going to go through this small pack, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit of the comics' greatest world stuff. Now, these are comics that I got for sale in Windsor at a comic store in Windsor. Instead of $1, they were only a quarter. So again, telling you that days like Free Comic Book Day, a lot of stores will have free comic book day sales or their anniversaries, and in their bargain bins, you'll find a lot of cool stuff for only a quarter. Now these ones though are actually pretty unique in the sense that the cover price is actually only $1 US, $1.25 Canada. So even in your regular comic book bins, you probably will find these issues at cover price. And I'd advise you not to pay more than maybe $2 an issue because these are easy to find in dollar bins. So today we have two copies of Rebels because this is part of the 1,300 books that I got for quarter. Catalyst number 3, Agents of Change. We got Division 13, Hero Zero, The Machine. I like this one. Pitbulls, King Tiger, and Out of the Vortex. So when these came back out in 1993, so this was a year or two after the Image had done their new comic book line, and the only famous character that came out of this is actually Barbed Wire, who does make an appearance in this issue, and she had her own one shot. There were several. There's several weeks of this series where they were all $1 books. They're about 16 pages each to introduce the characters, and so what we have is we have a few week twos, we have a few week threes, we have a few week fours, and a few of these. So the way I would do it, because is that these little symbols at the bottom, those symbols indicate this is the city it's from. So I kind of put these ones together, and then the letter, and then I put the next series together, and then I'd go to week 2, and I would put week 2, the Machine, and Pitbulls, week 2. Then King Tiger says week 3, so I'll put it on week 3. And Out of Vortex, week 4. Hero Zero, I'll put under week 2. And Division 13, week 1. And now Catalyst Angels can't change, of course, the miniseries. So a lot of these characters didn't last more than a couple years. Although it was called Comics Greatest World, I think the problem with this series is that even in the 90s, Lee Weeks is a recognizable name, for example. Doug Mahnke, Mahnke, he had done some DC stuff as well. There are some recognizable names, but these are more. They were kind of. They were artists or writers, but nowadays I don't think that most of the names would be recognizable. Like Barbara Casale is married to Carl Casale. She'd be recognizable, but Tim Hamilton did the pencils in this, so he's not recognizable. So I would say that the issue with this, in terms of marketing the characters, is that they didn't market the characters, and I'm just going to flip them as I talk. They didn't market they call it Comics Greatest World, but it's not Comics Greatest Creators. So if it would have been like maybe Frank Miller and or on the Image side, you had Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee. If he had been like those creators, like the biggest names in the industry, I think you could go with that name. But they really should just call this Dark Horse Heroes or maybe Dark Horse Heroes would have been simple enough. But I think that it was ambitious to have all these heroes, but the problem is that you had creative teams that no one knew, and so very quickly, at a glut market pace, they were, like for example, on the back here you have a different Dark Horse book that's not part of the Heroes line, which is Martha Washington Goes to War, but that's by Frank Miller and Dave Gibbons, who were really famous, and Frank Miller's done Dark Knight Returns, and Dave Gibbons done Watchmen. So, exactly. I also think that the most famous characters probably you would know. They're not in. I didn't show you them, but there's this character called right there called X. He had a few characters. He's kind of a Batman type character, I would say. And then there's also a character called Ghost, and she lasted a while as well. I don't have a picture of her in this line. In terms of stories, I would say that they are fun reads. I did enjoy them. They vary in quality. The Machine, for example, after reading it, I don't know who the Machine is. I don't understand his story, his backstory. Barbed Wire seemed kind of cool, like a biker chick, like a Black Canary type thing. And again, Barbed Wire is the most famous because a few years later they made a movie with Pamela Anderson as Barbed Wire. So she was the one who got a movie. But story-wise, I would say that if they find them for $1, they are pretty good reads. They're pretty interesting, and it is kind of a footnote in Dark Horse history when they attempted to do these Dark Horse heroes. So that's what I would encourage you, is that my review of the stories is kind of like a C+, a C+, depending on the issue and the story, and that there is, of course, more information than what I know in terms of like how many titles they had and for how long. But from the small gathering, I'd say these are books that if you can find them in a quarter bin, that's a great deal, worth checking out just for fun. If you find them at $1, I would say, yeah, just check them out. They're fun. And but if they're over like a $2 price point, I would say hold off. You're going to be able to find these really easy for a quarter. All right, talk to you until next time. Bye.